Peace and welcome to the culture right here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Faraji Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in. Folks, we got a lot of great conversations today. First and foremost, let's talk about a new New York Times Siena poll that shows that Republicans still have a small edge on winning Congress in this midterm elections. We'll talk about the latest data. Also, let's talk about the update of Brittney Griner. Folks, I'm staying on top of this story and I'm concerned. I am concerned. We'll have that conversation about what Russia had to say so far with the case of the WNBA star. Later on, we talk about Kanye West. He's at it again. Here's the question I'm posing, folks. Should there be some limits on this free speech? Should we figure out something? Because this guy is saying some things. I'm going to share with you two of the latest big controversial statements. We got B Fly on the culture crew, so I know we're gonna have a dope discussion about that. And then later, 27 years later, from the Million Man March, that fateful day, on October 16th, 1995, where nearly 2 million black men gathered on the Mall in Washington, the largest demonstration of this kind in the history of America. And the question is being asked, what can we learn about the Million Man March from 27 years ago that we can use today? We'll be checking in with Eartha Harris, who's who's the co-chair of the local organizing committee in Baltimore. Stay with us. All of that on today's edition of The Culture, right here on the Black Star Network. Let's go. All right, folks, welcome to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Faraji Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in this afternoon and joining us for the conversations that we got planned for you. Big shout out to all of you who've been continuing to support us here on Black Star Network, man. The feeds, the conversation, the streams are continuing to go up as we are having these very, very important discussions about things that matter the most to us, to our culture, to the country. So I want to say thank you again on behalf of the culture, the team here of the culture and the Black Star Network. You continue to do the great work. That's why we ask you to continue to support us. Make sure y'all check us out on our website at blackstarnetwork.com, and you can download the app for free. You can continue to support us financially. Share the content, folks. Make sure you continue to share the content as we have a conversation about everything that's going on around the world and here at home. So again, make sure you support us at blackstarnetwork.com. Folks, I am super, super excited about the show today because we got a lot of big conversations planned for you. So I want to jump right in. First and foremost, we're joined by my culture crew member joining us on Mondays. I'm so happy she's able to spend a little time with us this afternoon. We go checking in with hip hop artist. She is an entrepreneur. She's the co-founder of Blackwater Production House, and she's doing so much more. She's also a filmmaker. So happy to have her back on the air with us today. Miss B Fly is joining us. B, what's good? How are you, sis?
I am good, Faraji. How are you?
I'm good. I'm just happy you're here with me. I'm just happy because Monday, I'll be missing you, yo. I'll be missing you.
I think I've missed about a month of Mondays, and I've been all over the place, so.
Hey, look, we're going to talk about it because it's all good. I'm just happy you're here to spend some time with us today. So I'm really grateful. But let's talk about what's going on with the Republicans as a new New York Times Siena poll has shown that Republicans still gain an edge as many voters are worried about the economy. Now, I'm asking a question, folks. Are you surprised about this? Or are you concerned about this as we talk about it? Let me just break down some of the numbers that came from this poll. B, I want to get your take, and then we go to our online culture crew to share with us their thoughts. All right, here's what was reported by the New York Times based on their poll. Democrats in next month's midterm elections has found this situation, folks. The poll shows that 49% of likely voters said they plan to vote for a Republican to represent them in Congress on November 8th. Compared with 45% who plan to vote for a Democrat. The results represents an improvement for Republicans since September, when Democrats held a 1-point edge among likely voters in the last time's Siena poll. The October poll's unrounded margin is closer to 3 points, not the 4 points that the rounded figures imply. With inflation unrelenting and the stock market steadily on the decline, the share of likely voters who said economic concerns were the most important issues facing America has leaped since July to 44% from 36%, far higher than any other issue. And voters most concerned with the economy favored Republicans overwhelmingly by more than a 2-to-1 margin. I'm gonna stop right there and let's break that down a little bit. So we're looking at this being 49% of likely voters said they plan to vote for Republican, 45%, but you got a roughly 3% differential there. What needs to be done? First, what does this say to us that in spite of all the stuff we've been talking about with Republicans and whatnot, people still might be voting Republicans in this midterm? Is that surprising or concerning for you?
Not at all. I mean, at the end of the day, you're not going to throw the whole party away because of a person. And you're not going to throw the whole party away because of ideas around white men. Because like we cannot afford to be just generalized Black Dems and generalized just this monolith thinking. Like if you are Black, you're supposed to vote Democratic. Like we have to abolish that level of thinking. Like that's how our enemy wants us to think. We need to be able to go into all parties. We need to understand the benefit from them all, so it's like when we're in a position of having a more socialist economy, we go Dem. But when we are in the position of needing to get more money in our pockets, more money for our businesses, we go Republican. And those are just the facts, and so it's like the Dems are really good for socializing and bridging government with the person and giving you programs. But at the end of the day, we all know that these programs keep you basic. All right. So whenever you are ready to actually get money, you end up being a Republican. You end up going to your cost of goods model, because at the end of the day, it's for profit. For profit is the only way. The nonprofit structure is only set up as a tax shelter for the wealthy. It is not set up for reals to keep you growing as a family. Like that's not what it is. So I'm happy that people are jumping off of a Democratic bandwagon and going into how they actually are going to be able to control their real wealth in their pockets. That's what it is.
But let me ask you this though. Can we really say that even though I know the Republicans have often campaigned on being fiscally responsible, it's always mind-blowing because, when you look at certain Republicans, they can't even acknowledge that money is a motivating factor for a lot of their policy. They can't even acknowledge that they're one of the, they're lobbying that to the Republican Party is super high, right? Like money is the driver for this. And it's always mindful, and it's always interesting that a lot of these Republicans, maybe I'm just thinking of Donald Trump. They are not the most, they don't manage money well. They go bankrupt. And I guess that's probably across both aisles, right? Both sides of the aisle. But it's just something that's inherently like, we think, if you're fiscally responsible, you're Republican. And then if you care about people, you think Democrat. And it's like,
yeah, but you gotta read in between the lines, And
okay.
So it's like, talking about money in America is kind of declassé. And so we
talk about it every day. We talk about somebody's money every day, B.
Black people get money. Get money. You feel like we go there. But when we're talking about, when we're talking about the wealthy, all right, when we're talking about class, it's declassé, all right, to discuss, the realities of your finances in public, all right? So a word like fiscally responsible, all right, means that at the end of your fiscal, you are Black. You have money left over. You have profit. All right. Now, when we're dealing with bankruptcy, Bankruptcy is a trick to capitalism on how you actually are able to keep some of that cash even though you owe. And so it's like, once
Mm.
again, we're dealing with the savvy dealings of the wealthy, and at the end of the day, people want to be savvy and wealthy. And so we cannot just stick to
That's
being
it.
poor Democrats. At the end of the
That's
day, the
it.
Democrats want us poor. The Democrats want us on welfare. The Democrats want us to literally be sucking the tip of the government. And that is not what we're able to do if we actually want to get money. I want money.
Hey, look, I think you hit the nail on the head with that statement, B. We want to be savvy. See, the thing that we love about Republicans is the fact that they're savvy because they know how to work the loopholes.
Right.
And guess what? Black folks who aspire to capitalistic dreams, Black folks who are who want to be in that economic space, they want to know, how can I work the system? How can I use the loopholes for my advantage, right? So therefore, I'm a vote Republican.
Too. The Negro wants to be savvy too.
Of course. And see, I'm saying, and I mean, you and I both know it don't work that way. And it's always interesting to me, being that when I read stories of whether it's business leaders or political leaders who try to use money, right? Who try to do the same things that we see that white politicians and white business leaders do, and then they get upset when they get caught, as if we don't already know there's a double standard.
See, here's the
so
thing.
You can't operate and move that same way.
I mean, no, but here's the thing. There's this rubric that Black people apply. All right, and in that you have your financial savviness divided by your economic morality. All right, Black people are the moral compass of this country. All right, and so we're always going to discuss and debate and philosophize on the morality behind a decision-making process. But at the end of the day, you still need to be savvy enough to control your wealth generationally. All right.
All right. So let me stop there. I agree with you. Let me stop you there, and then we're gonna go to a comments from our culture crew. You bring up the great point, morality. And I'm not saying that the Democrats are super moral either. You know what I'm saying? I think both parties have their major issues. But I'm talking about morality. How can you vote for, and I'm saying Black folks, right? How can Black folks vote for a group of people who don't stick up for their interests and whose values and morals do not align with themselves? Because guess what? Here's why I'm saying it. The economic situation, our economic mobility is not the saving grace for Black America. I know people say, if we open up some more businesses, that's not the saving grace. That's not what's going to change the plight and struggle of Black folks in this country. Opening up of businesses, buying Black, these are important elements, but I'm saying fundamentally, I'm not talking about Band-Aid approaches to our struggle. I'm talking about getting us out of a slave mentality, an inferiority complex, and getting us into a space where we are actually winning. We are being empowered. We have control over our destiny. Economics is not that point. It's not that place.
In order to do that, you have to be on both sides of the fence. And right now, we have too many niggas. We got too many Negroes over on one side. And so until we're able to literally penetrate both sides of this conversation, then we're always going to be put in this little petri dish. And right now, this petri dish is being spun around by the Democrats, and we can't continue to trust this leadership. We can't. And I'm not saying that we have to go 100% into trusting the Republican leadership. No, that's not what we're dealing with. We're literally dealing with the fall of all of their patriarchal systems. All right. So until we're able to balance and get 33% of the Negro over Republican, Democrat, independent. We got to be able to spread the shit out, Faraji. If we don't, we're going to constantly be put in their ghettos. We need to be able to create new ghettos. The only way we can do that is by leveling niggas around the whole economic, the whole political playing field. Right now, you got too many over on one side not doing anything.
All right. Let's go to some comments as folks are checking in. Truth is power. My guy, you checked in. Good to hear from you this afternoon. You said, but how can anyone be a Republican when their motto is to be conservative when Black people don't live a conservative life? We have to always live a progressive life. What's your take on that, B?
I don't believe that. I think Black people are actually the most conservative. Like, Black people won't even go collectively to get therapy. All right. We collectively go to God. Like, how more conservative can you get? You know, as soon as you come in with some sort of queer agenda, then the entire Black community comes against you because of the heteronormative conservative ideas that go along with our family. You know, so it's like, no, at the end of the day, Black people are hella conservative. Unfortunately, like, until we're able to get really progressive. But it's this conversation that we always start. What Black people need to do. As long as we're continuing to do that, that literally forces all of us into this idea of a monolith thinking. And we cannot afford that idea anymore. We are not monolith. We beef every day over politics and our feelings and our opinions, you know, so we're not monolith, but we are not as progressive as we would like to think at all. Okay. We are conservative as fuck. All right. So that's why I don't really see I really don't see a disconnect other than old white men. That's what it is. Right. We don't like old white men. Collectively, we are afraid of old white men because of the trauma that old white men have inflicted on us. But they're everywhere. They're Republican and Democrat. You mean to tell me you trust Joe Biden? You don't trust Joe Biden's ass any more than you trust Trump. You know,
we having a conversation, which is what we're supposed to do. All right, let's go to Willie. Thank you so much, Truth is Power. Appreciate you, bro. Willie, my guy, you said, look, just look at those on the other side. I would believe most of our ideals wouldn't align with Candace Owens or Diamond and Silk. Look, let me tell you, both of them are caricatures. Candace Owens, Diamond and Silk, all caricatures. I'm not talking about that expression, that representation, right? You know, Willie, because no, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, let's talk principles here. I'm not talking personalities. Let's talk principles. Being fiscally conservative, creating, and which is odd that they often say, oh, you can't bring together church and state, but Republicans seem to campaign on this idea of being morally responsible and acceptable, all of those things. I'm talking about those principles that we often see, right? And so Willie, to your point, you saying, I would believe most of our ideals wouldn't align with them. I don't know, because I think this is probably the big factor among Black America. That guess what? Some of us do think that, like you said, the house, the family should be in a traditional structure. Some of us do think that government shouldn't be as big and involved in every element of our lives. So how do we bring our community, our people together, given the fact that even though we may not say it out front, some of us may actually think like Candace Owens?
Listen, at the end of the day, like, shout out Candace Owens for being emotionally secure enough to stand on her opinion that is not popular with her people and to still speak her mind. We are not a monolith. I can't stand this idea that every Black person has to be alto in the choir. No, that's a lie, you know, because it's like the contradiction here is that, like, we don't even communicate with the God of our tongue. So to have these arguments based off of the white empirical system, like, it's ridiculous. Like, we need to be thinking about this like chess. Like, I need 10,000 Black people to go and become Republican. Like, this, we need to divest in order to actually bring some balance and bring the good qualities out of all of these political groups. There's pros and there's cons.
I wouldn't even suggest for 10,000 Black folks to do a Republican. If 10,000 Black folks want to see a change, then we need to start our own political party.
No, see, here's the thing. Until
I'm not trying to bring that big conversation in. I'm just saying, if you got the energy to cross over, you got the energy to build.
But see, here's the deal, though. You know, we have to be able to understand that there are ways to get to where we're going without just being democratic. Like, that idea, Faraji, is so antiquated. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's entirely antiquated. And so it's like the only way we're able to really get along is to be like, raise your hand if you a Crip, go that way. Raise your hand if you Paru, go that way. Bring those heads to a meeting and let's all discuss what Crips and Bloods really need in order to be worthy citizens of society, in order to actually police our community together. You understand? Like, until we can actually get representation on all sides of the debate, there is no debate. We just have a gun pointed at our head. There is no debate. It's just a gun. It's just a noose. It's really just a target until we're able to spread out. We're not spreading out enough. And that right there is military. That's war mind. If you really want to play chess in this for the next 50 years, spread out. There is no Black monolith. It is dead. There is none. There never really was. Like, I'm saying, no. Join, like, for reals, because here's the thing, like, in order for this to be a real conversation, we need to be able to actually have people who are Republican, who do speak the truth, who do speak good sense financially. You know what? All right. And so until that mascot happens, you're really not even able to connect, because all you see is the old white men who have been subjugating you for 400 years, but they are still on the Democrats. They are Joe Biden. Like, there is no difference between the two of them. So you have to go everywhere or divest completely. You can't just go one and think that that's going to solve shit. No, you got to go everywhere or go nowhere.
Okay, let me go
to Kanye or don't vote for nobody.
No, wait, hold on. We didn't even get to that point, B. Why are you jumping in front of me? All right. Let me go to Sophia. Sophia, you said, to B's point, we're not a monolith. Isn't saying we are more conservative, saying we are monolithic. So we're not a monolith. I get that. I understand that. I totally get it. But
I mean, I think that's just a play on words. You know what I'm saying? Like, as soon as we have any one of these pontificating conversations about what Black people need to do, you know what I'm saying? We're literally in a monolithic type of conversation. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, but when we see this barrel, when we collectively are looking down a barrel of a gun and don't want to, we have to figure out how to collectively turn away. And so what I'm saying is that there are more Black people than there are guns. There are more Black people than there are guns. If you spread the fuck out, we can't be shot up. Spread out.
Well, we got more. No, we got more guns than Black people.
Niggas ain't going nowhere. Come on now. We are electric.
I mean, I'm just saying the numbers. If you look at the actual numbers, the numbers of Black. Huh?
We are electromagnetic. We made them guns. They ain't got shit on us, Faraji. I'm just saying, like, we need to spread. You know what I'm saying? We need to spread out. We need to spread. There is no Black Democrat movement. Like, it's dumb. It's dumb. They just all at the Baptist church.
Well, see, this conversation right here, B. See, this conversation just goes to show us that we need to have some alternatives. Because right now, here's why. Because this puts Black people, the oppressed and marginalized group in this country, in a space of psychotic, in a psychological break, right? Where we have to figure out who we're going to be to get whatever we need or whatever we want. And that's crazy. You shouldn't have to parse your brain up in 5 and 6 different ways because you're trying to pretty much figure, oh, okay, who's going to speak to my interest here? Oh, okay, let me just speak to my interest there. You shouldn't have to do that.
Yeah, and so, and the irony is that all of these interests are convincing us to fix problems that we didn't create. And we still haven't been repaired for the entire country that is built. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, so yes, there are some alternatives needed, but until we can even get to the place to divest from thinking that we're supposed to be one, until we can get from that idea and go into the spaces that are already created, there is no creation of a new. There is no creation of a new until you can exhaust.
We don't need every single black, and I'm saying, and I want you to hear me out on this. At this particular moment, we don't need every single black person to be on board in order to make the substantial change that we yearn for. We don't need every single. We just need what they call a critical mass. A critical mass, right? And if you get even a couple, and I've said this before, folks, a couple of like 1 million people or 2 million people can shift a whole election.
This is true, Stacey Abrams.
You know what I'm saying? 1 million people can shift a whole election. You don't need every black man, woman, and child. You just need a critical mass of folks that are saying enough is enough, that are organized to see this. And I'm saying, going into this November 8th election, who is going to be a part of that critical mass going to the polls? Because and here's the other thing, if Republicans gain the leadership, if they win the House and the Senate, the policies, and again, this is why I go back to, we always looking at economics as if that's the saving grace of black folks. That's not the saving grace, because the policies that's going to be coming out from these Republicans, it's not going to be about economics. It's going to be about your culture, your identity, your rights. It's going to be about fundamental situations of how to be a human being outside of you owning a business. That's the part that we need to really look at. These are fundamental choice issues, moral issues, value issues. That's what's on the ballot. And we could talk about inflation, yes. But let's look at the root of inflation. If we're talking about how the market is, how money is used, things are going up. So let's look at the value system. You mean to tell me in an inflation in corporate America that we all know that is happening, corporate America can't adjust their prices? Even though they're eating hand over fist, they getting money here, they making millions and billions of dollars off of per quarter since we've been in this inflation. You mean to tell me Kraft can't lower their prices on their food, or that Exxon can't do something about the oil? No, because their value, their priority is not rooted in helping people to get through these economic times. Their value is to make money.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing though. You have the right to divest. You don't have to purchase a thing from Kraft.
You gotta purchase food and gas.
You don't have to purchase a thing from Kraft. You don't.
Not from Kraft. You got alternatives. You don't.
That's what I'm saying. You do.
But you know what? What about gas? You're not going to drive. And look, I get it. There are a lot of different gas stations here in LA. I go to the ones that's the cheapest.
That's what you do. And let me tell you when this started happening. Do you remember when we boycotted Texaco? Do you remember when we boycotted Texaco?
Yeah. I remember that. Yep.
It was like 10 or something. That went for so long. But I remember my parents driving past Texaco's to get to other spaces. You know what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying.
You have to be able to do that. And if you don't do that, if we don't do that, if we're so complacent, if one is so complacent to where you'll actually complain about the company and then go to the store and give it money, your pineal gland is gone. You're calcified. You're just a talking head. Like, you have to be able to have some sort of self conviction in order to be your own leader. But instead, social media just has all of us just talking, but no accountability to the actual walk. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if you really have a problem with these corporations, then divest from the corporations. You don't need Kraft macaroni and cheese. You can get a noodle. You can get your cheese. You can even become vegan because you know that the cheese ain't really helping you in your colon, black man. You know that. I know it tastes good. I know it gives us all the juicy memories from our childhood. You know what I'm saying? It does an emotional thing and it makes you feel all warm like a hug on the inside. But it really ain't good for you. So so it's like, we have to be able to divest from what is killing us instead of just crying on the chopping block. That's all we doing. We just crying on the guillotine. But you can move your head.
Hey, look. We're going to have to take a pause. But let me just tell you, this thing is we're going to continue to talk about it as we go to November. But look, that's why when we talk about what's really important in this election, that's a lot that's important. This is a lot. This is, and which is why, and I think, Janae, you said it, that's why we need to have shows like this, because why? We do need to hear from all different angles, but more importantly, you got to be clear about where you stand. And I think, to your point, B, you said that we're thinking a certain way because we're conditioned to think a certain way, right? You know, from friends, social media, traditional media, all of these things that are coming at it. We got to be clear. And here's the thing, like, we got to get through all of the fog, get past the emotion and rise into a higher thinking and say, okay, let's look at this situation. And what you're talking about with the gas piece, the reason that your parents were able to pass Texaco, because there were some alternatives. We're at a point we don't have any alternative. So we got to justify going back and forth. No. Either we send a message to the current political parties that say either you accept this or we're going to have to think about some other dramatic means and we'll deal with that. But there's got to be something else, because I'm tired of going into this schizophrenic form of citizenship where I have to, my heart is here, but my pocketbook is there. Okay, why can't they coexist in the same space at the same time?
Because that's called a spiritual war, honey, and that's where we are. You know, and so it's like in order. That's called.
But that's not fair. That's not fair.
Spiritual warfare.
That's not fair. That's not. If you want the American people,
is life fair?
I'm saying it's not life fair, but I'm just saying. And I know that. I know it's not fair. I know life isn't fair. But my point is, if you want the American people to be on board, then you better present an alternative that speaks to the whole person and not to part of the person.
I think that was the old American. The new American is so group think out. They really don't have the ability to think for themselves.
Okay.
85%, like straight up. You know what I'm saying? Like I very rarely hear someone who is able to construct their own opinion that doesn't come from the media. If your only opinion is something that was spoon-fed you, I cannot listen to you. You're a product of the machine and you don't even know it. We can't do that. That's why I have to rally with Candace. That's why I gotta rally with Kanye, because at least they're not speaking the same shit as tired niggas. Like, straight up. Like, the person that voted for Biden but still talked shit on Biden, like, I'm not listening to that person. I'm not. Like, that's the level of, like, do you understand the hypocrisy that goes with that? And 85% of our people are there. That is no growth. That's no leadership. No. You know what I'm saying? If you can't stand on your unpopular truth and carry the one out of through your life with all of your decisions, if you're going to end up pandering to the majority because it's easier for you, then that's not leadership. That's literally sheep shit. There's a difference. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, if we want to be leaders, then you got to be the leader. And being a leader is difficult. Being a leader is alone. Being a leader is being able to galvanize your troops for real, and come this way into new zones. But if we're only putting our people into the same cotton picking situation that we've been in for hundreds of years, that's not leadership. That's carrying on the status quo. And I'm done. I don't do that. I don't participate in that. And I'm not ever going to suggest other Black people participate in that unless they the sheep. Sheep do what sheep do. Shepherds do what shepherds do.
All right.
That's just all it is.
We got to take a quick pause. We're going to switch gears. We're going to talk about Brittney Griner. So, folks, stay with us. We're going to give you the latest updates around Brittney Griner, get your take on it, get B's take on it, and a whole lot more. You're tuned into The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol, we've seen shootings.
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate Black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear. When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
When we invest in ourselves, we're investing in what's next for all of us. Growing, creating, making moves that move us all forward. Together, we are Black beyond measure.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
When we invest in ourselves, we all shine. Together, we are Black beyond measure.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. All right, let's shift gears from electoral politics to just politics as we continue to kind of watch this story of Brittney Griner, the WNBA star who has been imprisoned in Russia since February. And, I have my culture crew member, B. Flow, joining us. But I wanted to bring everybody up to speed on where we are, because as I'm watching the story, I said, let me get on the culture. Let me tell my culture crew, let me tell my watchers what's going on, because this thing right here continues to go in a direction I am not happy about. But here it is. I'm asking the question, will Brittney be forgotten? Will Brittney be forgotten? Here's the latest that comes out of Russia. And it was reported this by The Guardian that on Sunday, take a look, folks. On Sunday, Yuri Yushakov, an aide to Putin, said Biden was most concerned about good publicity as the U.S. midterm elections approach. He said in an interview with Rosia One, he said, in this tense situation, I think that he is thinking first and foremost about the upcoming midterm elections. So he keeps emphasizing the need to bring back home the basketball player who was detained for drug smuggling. However, it's not the main issue that we are concerned about. Ouch. Okay, let's look at that. Now, let me look at what the president said. That was from Russia. The president said last week that he would talk to Putin at the upcoming G20 summit if it concerns Griner. He said, look, I have no intention of meeting with him, but for example, if he came to me at the G20 and said, I want to talk about the release of Griner, I would meet with him. If the Russian president, who you are beefing with, would come up to you and say, I want to talk to you about your basketball player that violated our laws, that's the only chance, that's the only opportunity you would meet with him to discuss it, if he approached you. B, let's bring B back into the discussion.
That's your leader.
This is President Biden. This is what he said.
Yeah.
I'm not. Oh, this
Didn't
is.
you vote for him? Didn't you vote for him? That's your leader, right? That's your leader. That's your
I'm.
leader.
Look. Look, man.
Is that your king? Is that your king? Yeah. So yes. So, but how would you? But it ain't Trump and Putin, homies. Like, you know what I'm saying? How you gonna feel when? How you gonna feel when a Republican bring her home? How you gonna feel? What you gonna say? We gonna talk about that? No, we're just gonna be like, thank you.
I don't even know what to say.
What is this?
I'm be honest with you. I don't know what to say.
So here's what I need. I need Brittney to write hella books. You know what I'm saying? I need her wife to make sure that agent is doing her job and making sure that this book sells everywhere. You know, like the way to not be forgotten is to literally go in and be your own pen and say your own I statement. You know, these letters between her and her wife need to get published. So their estate, their publishing house can make money. You know what I'm saying? Like at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? Like there's legal bills are real. In order for her to not be forgotten, she has to continue to make money. You know, and so it's like the only way for that at this point, you know what I'm saying, is to publish these letters. You know what I'm saying? Like those have to fly and we have to pay for them. You know, and that's what that is. So if you want to talk about what Black people need to do, Black people need to be writing her and making sure that these letters get published. You know what I'm saying? Like that we have that in our literal control, you know? And so it's like at the end of the day, we do crimes and we do time. It is effed up when you end up doing a crime in another country. There has never been a situation, you know what I'm saying, of someone committing a crime in another country and just walking away. You know, like that's what it is. And so, but Biden don't care. Putin don't care. She's literally she's a bargaining chip that no one is playing yet because it doesn't serve them yet. and Dennis Rodman was stopped from going. You know, so and Dennis Rodman got a relationship with the man. His own government, his own king, prevented him from being able to go. And
I mean, I wouldn't send a different. I mean, because it's Dennis Rodman. He's not. He has
a history.
He has a history. So does Steven Seagal. Steven Seagal got a history too.
But I'm saying, is Steven Seagal offering to go?
No, he didn't even offer to
go. But Dennis is. And so for his own government to be like,
he really don't know him like that. He said he met with him, on a few occasions. But I mean, this, like, you don't. Dennis Rodman.
So what you want? So tear down the person that's trying. While
no, it's not that. It's just look. I want qualified people. No, it's not about that's my king. It's just that I want qualified people at the table. The sister. I mean, it's a sensitive situation. We're at odds with Russia. I mean, whether people want to admit it or not, this war is becoming, as much as it's about Ukraine, it's about America as well, right? So we understand it. So since we're at odds with Russia, it's like you want to have qualified people. You want people to understand the severity of it, and you don't want to have somebody at the table. And again, this is no shade on Dennis, but he's not. You can't become a diplomat in a day. What do you want as a diplomat? You negotiate. What's the power that he stands on? What can he reasonably offer outside of what the United States already offered?
Listen, wasn't his best friend a Kim Jong-un or something in the 90s? I don't know.
Yeah, I read about that too.
All of this is removed from me and my direct knowing,
I got
you. So when we're pontificating on a thing,
I mean, no, I'm trying to get back. Let's get past the pontification. Right? Let's get past the pontification. Let's get past that. I'm saying the result is Russia has essentially came out and said, we're not worried about Brittney Griner. America has essentially said, I'm not surprised either. That's why I'm updating folks on where it is. America and the president is like, well, if the Russian president comes to me, like under all of these conditions, which is not, I don't think, the best move. Now, I don't know if President Biden's more concerned about the midterms than the release of our system, I'm not surprised. I would not be surprised if that's the case, right? It may be the case. But to put it out there to say, well, the president, he would have to come to me. This is all power. This is all power moves, right? He comes to me because I'm not going to him. It's like a pissing contest. You come to me, you tell me what and then you voice a concern about a citizen of mine that's in your country. Come on, man.
So that's basically like, everybody know we're gonna be at this party. If he come to me at the party, come meet me at the Grammys and say something to me about Brittney. And if he say something to me about Brittney, then we gonna have a talk about Brittney. But we going to these Grammys, and if he don't say nothing,
I ain't saying nothing.
I ain't gonna say nothing.
That's what I got. That's what I got. If he don't say nothing, I'm not saying nothing.
This is classic passive aggressive behavior. Alrighty. And so, but this is what they do. I'm not surprised. Like, we have millions of Black people in prison throughout the world who haven't even committed the crimes. So once again, like here is where we are. We cannot just be on one side of the aisle anymore. For several thousand life-sustaining reasons. We can't just be in America. We got to be everywhere. We can't just be Democrat. We got to be Republican. And then we got to be in the parliament. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we have to spread. If we don't spread and infect the world, then this is where we are. The entire world, all right, is afraid of our genetics. Understand the weight, all right, of being the dominant gene on this planet. Understand, all right, what it's done to our recessive counterpart. Like, you want to talk about emotional insecurity. No one is as emotionally insecure as white people in white America, because at the core of the situation, it's always been known that one drop of Black eradicates their entire race, like at the core. So our minds have had to be infected in order to keep them alive, all right? We are such loving people. We do not wish death upon a group of people, even though this group has continually murdered us in their name. We're never going to match their level of evil with our level of evil. We'll do that into our own shit. We'll implode ourselves, you know? But the beauty of roaches is that they don't go nowhere, okay? And that right there is literally like the melanin compound of Black people. We're not going nowhere, but we need to spread intentionally. Like, we need to spread across this political landscape, across this globe, in order to actually thrive as a people everywhere. That's what has to happen.
Let me, and I'm hearing you, and I feel like things are just all over the place. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's all over the place. It's not about bringing the sister home. It's not about, I mean, it's just, I'm just so disappointed. You know what I'm saying? I'm so disappointed. And I'm disappointed because in one sense, you like, hey, I'm gonna meet with the family, I'm gonna do all of these things, and I'm going to make an effort. Then in the second, then you got this statement. Well, if the president comes to me and he explicitly wants to talk to me about Brittney, then I'm going to be open. The whole country, and I'm not expecting all of America. All of America is not rooting for Brittney Griner to come home. But folks in the Black community, folks in the entertainment and the sports world, right? Some of your biggest names and stars. Some folks in politics, Hillary Clinton and others. And that's your response. That's your response.
I mean, but as you said, Faraji, things are difficult because Russia's in a war. And so there you go. You know, it's just it just sucks, you know, because it's a you know, she becomes the mascot, you know, for no one cares about Black people, you know? And so it's like, and that's and it's,
and let me just say this though, too, B, I don't think the GOP will bring her home either.
Listen, it's you know, this conversation is so far over my head, because at the end of the day, once you go in, have you ever been to jail before? Have you ever been in prison, Faraji? You become ward of the state. You get, there's more money for your body, okay, when you are a ward of the state than there is when you're out free in the world. All right. The economics of imprisoning people is Fortune 1. Understand, it's not a Fortune 50 corporation. It's the top. It's the top.
Yeah.
All right. Slavery is real, and the prison system is where legalized slavery is. All righty. And so it's like, once you, and now and then and now to factor in cannabis, which is a whole joke to be imprisoned for, all right? Cannabis. Like, this is so much deeper than just a talk about getting one Black woman out. You understand? You know? And so until there is more of a financial benefit for them, for America, for everyone, she's going to stay put. And that's just what it is. Like, this is the patriarchy. This is the patriarchy. And so it's like, we all know if this was LeBron, we'd be dealing with a different situation because of his proximity to the patriarchy.
I mean, but here's the thing,
so
like
that's what we're dealing with. This is the intersection.
it could,
you know what I'm saying?
look, it's a
race
lot of things.
and sex.
It's sex and gender issues. You got the patriarchy issues. You got international law issues, and you got the big fact that America is having some real problems with Russia right now, and is backing Russia's enemy, i.e., Ukraine, with billions of dollars, and trying to cut Russia off at the knees. And then we want to go back. I said this from the very beginning, folks, of this dilemma, that this may not go the way we want it to go because of the war. And guess what? Look what's happening. It's because of the war. Y'all can't say it's anything else. It's because of the war. And the Biden administration, President Biden, didn't think about Brittney when he came out a couple of days after the bombing of Ukraine and Russia invaded Ukraine, and didn't think about Brittney Griner. He was thinking about Ukraine. And as a result of that, we're in this place. So I don't know what's going to happen. I don't have any confidence in the Biden administration right now, the Biden White House right now, around this issue. I don't, because I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how this is going to pan out. The only thing that we can do, and let me just let y'all know, folks, I actually reached out to her wife, didn't get a response yet. But the only thing that we can do is be supportive of whatever the family needs. If the family says something, and again, if the Griner family wants to use this platform, they don't even have to come on my show. They can go on Brother Roland's show. They can go on anybody. I don't care. Put something out there for Black America to hold on to. What is the hope that you want us to hold on to regarding Brittney? What do we do? Because we're seeing politics at the highest level being a large pissing contest, and then at the end of the day, our sister is languishing in a prison in Russia.
But you know what, though? Until I see a commercial that happens like at 8 o'clock on CBS that says "Free Brittney Griner," text your congressman, text this. You know what I'm saying? Like, until that happens, this is not a national thing. This is a Black thing, you know. And so it's like you're not gonna have the change until this is a people issue. Right now, it's a Black issue. Right now, it's a Black woman issue. Right now, it's a cannabis issue. You know what I'm saying? These are two niche of issues. Like, this needs to be a human issue, you know? And so it's like until the people who are in her corner, who are powerful media millionaires, until they occupy the actual streams to connect to the American housewife, then this isn't a human issue, you know? And so it's like, and so that's what I'm saying. Like, there's so many people apply lip service who are in that corner, you know? And so it's like, there's a way to actually affect change, especially when financially you are of the 1%, you know? And so it's like, if her...
No, I just want to make sure we jump in and get some comments, because you're right. Let's get some comments. Eric, Hotep, you checked in. They are back channel communications which occur every day. The will to bring our sister home is non-existent. I'm with you there, Hotep. That's it. The will. The will. You just heard it from the president. And you just heard it. The will.
I mean,
King,
I guess we need like a... Go ahead.
What?
You know, I'm thinking about Black Lives Matter. I'm thinking about the what's his name? I'm thinking about the billionaire who funded the movement through the OSI grant. Yeah, you know, and so I'm just, you know, when there is an ability, you know, to create a connection, a real human connection around Brittney Griner, but her until it connects, you know what I'm saying? Like, it has to connect. These movements have to be able to expand past our block, you know? And so it's like, and the best way to do that is literally through media. We are connected through CBS. We are connected through BET. We are connected through CNN. And so it's like when these commercial airwaves are not occupied, then this message does not get out. It is not taken seriously, you know?
Which is why that's why we staying on top of this. That's why we staying on top of this. I mean, there are places that are still reporting on Griot, Roots, you know, some of the Black media outlets and sources. But that's why, right. But that's why we stay on top of this, to create the buzz around it so much more, because Black folks got to speak out for Black folks, right? In a moment like this. And so if Black women and Black men said, you know what, if nobody else going to keep that flame lit, we are, then that's just start to move. But we're just so all over the place. We're all over the place with her. And it just, and I mean, each conversation that we've been having today, B, it just goes to show you, Black folks, I hope y'all listen. I really do. To my online culture crew, yo, I hope everybody's listening. I'm reading chats. I know many of you got a lot of different views and very strong views. But these issues, political ideology, what we asking for in this election, in this midterms, like what should be the big ticket items that we should put, support on the ballot. Brittney Griner, these are the conversations and these are the issues where you really get to see where Black folks stand. And we all over the place. We all over the place. And why? Because people still say, oh, I don't think she should have went over there with the she knew better and all of that stuff. And
that's
so if the sentiment,
at the core, Black people end up defaulting to conservative views. Like, that's what I'm saying.
All right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, when it comes to actually being there for our people, our people are the first ones to be like, conservatism, oh my goodness, she shouldn't have been there with her marijuana anyway. You feel? And then, you know what I'm saying? And so now respectability politics take hold and she's no longer worthy of the collective plight. This is what happens. You know what I'm saying? And that is democratic thinking. You know what I'm saying? That is that group think that needs to be dissolved. We should all have opinions that make people want to bang us in the face. We really should. And we should all have the gumption to say it out loud and to stand on it with their decision-making process. But we keep on pandering to the conservative middle, thinking that that's going to save us. And this is the issue with Black people right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, these conversations will always go in a circle because at the core, we don't want to burn this shit down. And until we're ready to burn it down and start anew, we're just always going to be subject to what our enemy is going to do to us. And will our enemy free us?
All right.
You know? No.
All right. We got to take a quick pause. We got to talk about why Mr. West's conversation, his latest interview with Drink Champs, has sparked another set of controversies as he talked about George Floyd. Let's keep George Floyd and the family of George Floyd in our prayers. Stay with us. Those discussions. And of course, we're going to talk about 27 years later, the Million Man March. So stay tuned. It's all coming up in the next segment of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network.
When we invest in ourselves, we all shine. Together, we are Black beyond measure.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
When we invest in ourselves, our glow, our vision, our vibe, we all shine. Together, we are Black beyond measure.
When you talk about Blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is roland@rolandsmartin.com.
All right, folks. Thank you for tuning into this new segment of the culture of the culture here on the Black Star Network. We've been having some very, very, I think, important, heated conversations about a number of issues, especially issues affecting Black America. And I've been talking to Culture Crew member B Fly as we've been having these conversations, and it speaks volumes about where we stand. We are all over the place. We really are. We really are all over the place. And again, as I stated in the previous segment, if nothing else y'all get from these conversations, let's shine a light on the fact that we are not on the same page. And this could be, I think it is, not could be, I think it is the problem. Because somewhere along the line, we're all fighting for a little piece of the crumb. We're all trying to figure out how to gain power. And it's making us look crazy. For real. Let's talk Kanye West. This is what he said. I can't even, I'm not happy with him. I'm not happy with him. And I'm asking this question, folks, how far should free speech go? This is what Kanye, or Ye, said about George Floyd when he was on Drink Champs with Noriega over the weekend, that aired over the weekend. Take a look, folks. He said, quote, "I watched the George Floyd documentary that Candace Owens put out. One of the things that his two roommates said was they weren't a tall guy like me, and the day that he died, he said a prayer for 8 minutes. They hit him with the fentanyl. If you look, the guy's knee wasn't even on his neck like that." Let's bring Bree Fly into it.
Leave me out of this. No.
This is not about making mockery. You know what I'm saying? This is really about the fact that, bro, you are crossing so many lines right now because of this your whatever mental space that you in, but you can't even acknowledge the truth, bro. It's hurtful. It's hurtful to all of us who saw the video and the pain of police terrorizing Black men. It's hurtful. And not just hurtful in a sense like, oh man, you shouldn't have said that. Like, you got some Black men who said, man, maybe he was hit with the fentanyl. Say that shit when the police is on your neck, bro. That's a common move. That's a tactic, a technique of holding a man down, to put their foot on your neck, then your knee on your neck. Like,
you know, it's interesting.
I mean, and I'm I'm not trying to put you in no crazy position, B. I'm trying to just simply make the point. This dude is going out of bounds. He talking about free speech, free speech, free speech. Look what he said about the free speech thing. Because he's also about to acquire, he's also interested in buying the right-wing social media platform, Parler. He's considering buying that. But take a look. Let me say, let's show this one, Keenan. Ye's net worth is reportedly $2 billion. Let's throw this quote on there, bro. Much of his fortune, thank you. Much of his fortune comes from his Yeezy sneaker brand in partnership with Gap and Adidas. However, Ye severed business ties with Gap recently, and Adidas said it's also reviewing this business relationship with him. JP Morgan Chase also cut ties with the rapper before he said all of this stuff. Parler is one of several right-wing friendly platforms to emerge during the Trump era as the former president's supporter claimed unfair treatment by Twitter and other apps. We know Ye is off of Twitter, he's off of Instagram. Now he's talking about buying Parler. How far does free speech go? I want you to speak on that. How far does your free speech go, B? Because now you into a space, bro, you don't belong. And I don't care how much you say, oh man, I'm trying to get people to think. I'm trying to get people to think. Because George Floyd's family is considering a lawsuit for the defamation. It's been already proven that Chauvin, his knee on brother George Floyd's neck was the cause of his death. It's already been proven. It's been discussed in court. Now you trying to come up with some dumbass thing talking about fentanyl. These celebrities, man.
Listen, there are certain flat earth moments in the world that happen. You know what I'm saying? There are certain flat earth comments that come out of our mouth, all right? And that make the people be like, what? That doesn't make any sense, all right? But at the end of the day, what I'm not gonna participate in, right, is the extraction of 2 minutes out of a 2-hour conversation. You know what I'm saying? Like that right there, you know what I'm saying, is what I don't do with my Black free thinkers, all righty? I'm gonna listen to the full, and I'm gonna understand the fullness, you know what I'm saying? And so if there's a 2 minute that I don't agree with, then I'm gonna still allow that person to have their 2 minutes that I don't agree with. But chances are there's probably 15 minutes that you do agree with. Focus in on that. And so it's
harder for, let me tell you why. You know why?
Here's the thing, because because people are so
used
to everyone being in the choir.
Look. When Kanye said that, what he said about Lizzo, Black people have an obesity problem. I agree. I'm saying taking Lizzo out of the conversation, Black people have an obesity problem in our community. We can't act like that's not a problem, right? I agree. But what Kanye does, and I said this before, when you got truth mixed with madness.
But see, here's the thing though. Here's the thing. Someone is always able to disagree because, you know what I'm saying, you agree with what he said about Lizzo. But with that, there's probably 500 of your particular fans who are obese, who will feel a way about the fact that you ride with him on that part. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, and that's the part, like why do we expect to agree 100% with people who we bang with? You know what I'm saying? It's okay for you to bang.
I don't bang with Kanye no more.
Evidently you do, because still we manage to talk about the person you don't bang with every week.
I know. I'm talking about it because it's news, though.
So the law of attraction part, you know what I'm saying, with everybody.
I mean, look. I don't bang with Trump, but we talk about Trump. You know what I'm saying? Like you got to talk about stuff. Like. No. Here's the thing. No. Here's my take on that piece very quickly.
That's how we end up.
No. See, I'm not. Look, you can't.
That's how we
wait a minute. Hold on.
That's how we start and keep our jobs.
No, wait a minute. No, it's not about that. You can't, and I'm talking about the big picture of conversation, the big picture of communication, right? We can't act as if people don't exist. Like, and here's my case in point. When Trump does all the stuff that he do, right? It creates an impact. It gets people talking. It changes minds. It shapes context. If we here, whether it's this platform or some other platform, act as if we could just be like, oh, I don't want to pay attention to them. We're doing ourselves a disservice because it is moments and opportunities like this that we need to talk about, that we need to either uproot or that we need to cultivate to figure out where we stand, right? Because these individuals have influence, they still have a platform, they still have some sense of power. So we can't act like, oh, Kanye no longer exists, because guess what? When you start talking about moments of our struggle, we could have, when Kanye said slavery was a choice, we got to talk about that. Why is that important to talk about? Because somebody who's Black, who don't know their history, is going to think that slavery was a choice. Some young person who don't know their history is going to think slavery was a choice. My point in saying that is that we
know the fullness of the context, and most of us agree with the fullness of the context. But when we take the Gemini soundbite away from the context, we start white manning, and that's never safe. You know what I'm saying? Like, it brings us back to this conservative middle, when if we're actually moving the culture forward, you're able to say, all right, boom, this is my agree with and disagree with column when it comes to this person. You know what I'm saying? Because once you want to have a conversation about stripping liberties from a person, that's literally having a conversation of diminishing value. What I'm not going to do is have a conversation that diminishes another Black man, Black woman's value based on my opinion of that person. If I do that, then I am no different from my enemy, white male patriarchal idea. We have to be able to all sit at the table with different opinions about a thing, different methods of communication. If we can't do that and still get to the bottom of what's really important for all of us, then you're just lost in the sauce. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, the thing about media is that, on one hand, you're told to stay relevant. You're told to speak off the cuff and say what's on your mind, because that's what the people want. It's going to keep them going. But then you want to dismiss and devalue the person for doing that and keeping his name on your mouth.
No.
Right?
I'm trying to dismiss. It's not about dismissing the value of the person. It's about setting the record straight. He's wrong. He's an influential person.
He's a flat earther. You know what I'm saying? And so at the end, and that's why I brought up flat earthing. You know what I'm saying? Because once flat earthing came up, right, we were able to see people, right, in our society who, like, we didn't know that you thought the earth was flat. Like, what the fuck? The shit was mind blowing. And it made us feel as if there was a new line that was established. Are you a round earther or a flat earther? Today, the idea sounds bizarre, juvenile, lowbrow, because we're all on the same earth, period. All right. So my opinion about its shape, does it really matter enough to be dismissed? At the end of the day, we know what happened. This man was killed in front of our face.
Right.
Period. There is no coming back from that.
Right.
We are not his. We burned this place down as a result. Okay. So it doesn't matter what somebody says in retrospect. What does matter is how deeply we hang on every sentence this man utters. I am a fan, and I don't hang on his every word as deeply as his quote unquote non-fans do. that right there is a
That's everybody though,
psychological
B.
situation.
That's celebrity culture. That's celebrity culture.
And that's why that celebrity stays that celebrity, and that's why that celebrity keeps on
No.
winning. And at the end of the day,
Here's what I'm
billions are
saying.
going to continue to go up.
No.
Because
See.
the law
Here's
of
the
attraction
thing.
is on his side. He keeps people talking about him.
I ain't on the
they're
side.
singing his praises or his dismissal. Like, it doesn't
No,
matter when
because
everybody's still choir to your name. Everybody's over here screaming, yay! Yay,
No. Ain't nobody screaming. Here's the thing. Here's the thing, sis. The thing is that if you keep putting out the foolishness for people to see it for themselves, then maybe it will shift the admiration, the love, the idol worship that we have of individuals. You know what I'm saying? Like this is why celebrities don't really, for many, many years, y'all know, celebrities don't talk outside of their art, whatever their craft is, right? They don't talk outside of the sports world. But the moments that celebrities start to get into a space and trust and believe, their handlers around them say, look, don't get into these spaces and you're not clear. You're not clear. But it is
if you say an opinion that is not popular, it has the potential of affecting you financially. So
and
guess
what?
Say it,
and guess what? And guess what? I'm good with that. I'm good with that. I'm good with stop idol worshiping. That's what I'm talking about. Like we look up to these individuals, right? These folks, some of these folks, I mean, exorbitant amount of money spending on the mad foolishness. They feeding us foolishness as the consumer. If they're not feeding us foolishness, they feeding our children some foolishness, right? And you can't stop. And you can't stop the flow of foolishness that's coming into your home. I don't care where you live, how you live. The fact is that when you step out, you don't even got to step out. When you wake up, you're introduced to the madness of America every time you open up your eyes. And my point is that in order for us to stop this flow, we have to become empowered enough to say, you know what, I'm not going to, let me hear what this person, that way we put it out there. I'm going to put it out there because you can stop idol worshiping. So we can stop idol worshiping. I'm tired of the idol worship. I'm tired of us putting hope in people.
That ain't me. I don't idol worship. The person that idol worships, is literally like the person who looks at TV, who looks at media, who looks at the celebrity, stargazes, goes into their bedroom and tries to dress and become them because they want that. And listen, you know what I'm saying? Idol worshiping is a real thing, and so, but that's not what everybody does when we consume a person, when we consume entertainment, when we're consuming the mouthpiece, when we're consuming the celebrity for that X amount of time. You know what I'm saying? And so most of us don't. Media more so idol worships Kanye because media knows that as long as media keeps on saying the name that keeps people going, then they'll still be relevant. And so at the end of the day, what is he really, what is he really doing? You know what I'm saying? What is he actually affecting in your household? Not
but see, no, he doesn't affect nothing in my household. But here's what I'm saying. Here's what I'm saying, B.
Household, not a thing.
Hey, let me just tell you. I'm just telling you, and I feel you on that. He doesn't affect us personally, right? But the show is called The Culture. Okay, let's like the show is called The Culture. The show, the platform is based.
Culture.
He's a part of the culture, and here's the thing. The culture has to be discussed, right? And when you have individuals who, let me reframe this. We are trying in this day and time to get us to think about the whole and not about the individual. We are trying in this day and time to focus on truth and not on emotional rants and emotional outbursts. We are trying in this day and time to have real conversations about the progress and the elevation of our consciousness. And so when you're talking about an individual who has influence, who we know, who, who we have kind of quote unquote grown up with, are you talking about an individual that has some sort of sway, right? If you're talking about a person that has the possibility to disrupt that, he could be a disruptor in the fashion space, but you're also disrupting the what we're trying to build in the culture. We need a different culture. And it can't rely on lies and just, oh, I'm going to just go off and do whatever I feel like doing and saying whatever I say without no repercussion. Part of the culture needs to have a checks and balance. If a joker is talking all that madness, he needs to be checked for it.
The culture ain't a monolith and has never fully had a Ma'at-based commandment system that they've ever praised and atoned to. Like, understand, you know what I'm saying? Like, the culture is a living, breathing thing that moves like water, gets polluted, and also purifies. This is the culture. This is the reality of it. There is no one person who is above the culture, and there's no one who's below our culture if you actually deposit into it. That's what it is. You know what I'm saying? I will not ever devalue his deposits that he's put into our culture just because they have revved the people up and got them going and got them to think about shit that they haven't necessarily thought about before, having conversations. You know what I'm saying? Like, because of Kanye, we're still talking about George Floyd. Understand? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a way to shape it. You know what I'm saying? Without wanting to pull him in Candace on
No. We're talking about George Floyd.
It is not about.
No, but
Today we are talking about George Floyd because he uttered his name on Drink Champs.
Because he's disrespectful. His ass is disrespectful. He's disrespectful.
But he's still the
bro. It's like you talking about Emmett Till. It's like you talking about Emmett Till. What you gonna say? Emmett Till ain't get killed because of the lie of Carolyn Bryant? Nah, that wasn't a lie. Emmett Till got killed because he chose to drag his own self out of his home. You can't, bro. Like here's the thing. We're in a time right now where our not only in our culture is our history is under attack each and every day. So we can't allow anybody, whether they're black or white, Asian or Latino, we can't allow anybody to disturb how history is, because in this day and time, you can get a joker something could have actually happened, but because it comes from somebody who has influence and power, then guess what? Some other people are going to make it believe, no, but that's not what really happened. That's the power of Hollywood. That's the power of Hollywood. Somebody can utter something and then this shit it's not real.
Here's the thing.
We can't
Generations later, we hear the woman lied. We have facts on the woman lied, right? But even at that point, you still had mothers and fathers who were still towing that conservative middle that said Emmett Till shouldn't have been looking at no one. Emmett Till shouldn't have been you know, and so like generations later, we're able to actually come to a new determination, everyone collectively. This is culture. Culture moves, culture updates, culture gets discussed, but at the end of the day, culture gets deposited into, and it's never our culture. We are real. We are breathing. We are traumatized.
Exactly. That's traumatizing.
And we're holy still. Like, understand, all of us. And so it's like we have to be able to find the patience with our people, because humans grow, humans develop, humans say shit, humans detract it. Yes, F.
No, yes. And look, trust and believe, I'm that guy. I'm that guy. Look, I allow people. Look, check it out.
You gonna be like, oh my God, I love them.
No. I'm the guy that allows humans to grow, but don't play the games about history. There's got to be some boundaries, bro. There's got to be some boundaries. I'm sick and tired of black celebrities making mockery of our struggle and thinking it's okay. Bro, you're going to get checked on that. I don't care who it is. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of black people. I'm tired of black people being ignorant. If this would happen 50 years ago, if George Floyd happened 50 years ago and then he makes a point about it, it'd be one thing. But this just happened a few years ago. George Floyd has been talked about tremendously before Kanye West. We can't stop saying the summer of 2021, the racial reckoning of the killing of George Floyd. People are talking about George Floyd as a tipping point and a pivotal point of our movement, of our history, of the activism of the next generation. I'm gonna just simply put, don't fuck up history to try to fit your agenda, because that's dangerous.
History, one person can't fuck up history though.
No. I'm talking about black folk. You mean to tell me a black man can't even admit that another black man was killed by a white police officer because his knee was on his neck?
That's not what was happening. During that part of the conversation, Kanye was showing us, alrighty, a different part of his...
Here's the other part. I'm gonna push back on it because I think I'm tired of this. I'm trying to get people to think. Man, I don't want to hear that bullshit, man.
No, that's not what I was about to say. During that time, alrighty, what I was able to see was the depths of his alien conspiracy brain. Alrighty, not everybody believes in aliens and goes to and pays attention to Area 13, right? But you got some people that do, and they really into that, right? So during this period of time, he's also talking to you about other conspiracy rabbit holes he's fallen into, right? So
he's used that before. He's used that before. He said that shit about the White Lives Matter thing. Like, I thought it was funny to try to get people, dude, you're offending people. You are traumatizing black folks.
Mentality this gives you intel into his mentality. In this time, he was not speaking factual. He was speaking conspiracy conjecture. Like I'm saying, if you also believe, you know what I'm saying, to a 10th of a degree that this person has mental illness, all righty, you also believe to a 10th of a degree, you know what I'm saying, that this person envelops some genius qualities, then you'll also have to believe that this person is going to say some shit all the way over to the left. You're also going to believe, you know what I'm saying, and know that there's going to be some other fringy sort of ideas that come along with this individual. Alrighty, at the end of the day, you have to be able to do your mathematics when it comes to Kanye. And at no time are you able to apply basic math, 2 + 2 = 4, and you get a clear Kanye. That is not what he is.
Guess what, B?
And so what, you just want to take freedom of speech from the mentally ill?
No, I ain't talking about freedom of speech. I'm just saying, look. Like, freedom of speech is supposed to, freedom of speech is a God-given right? Because a lot of places don't give you allowed to express yourself. I am a huge advocate of freedom of speech, but use it responsibly. Use it to speak the truth, right? Don't try to play these mind games of like, I'm really trying to say this so y'all can think that. Look. We don't know. In this day and time, B, you know it and I know it. All this double talk, this shit is getting to be a problem. Black folks in particular, and the people around this world, you need to tell people straight speech. Ain't all this extra double talk. Tell people what it is. If you got a view, don't be like, well, I'm gonna frame it this way so y'all can think that way. No, because guess what? It's that type of approach that's got people confused. It's that type of approach that rewrites history. It's that type of approach where if a child were to hear you, then they won't be empowered by the language that you use, because words got power and it's got energy. And at this point in time, we have to use our platforms responsibly. It's one thing that you believe a certain thing. It's another thing that you know you believe something and you deny what you believe and put out a counter understanding of what you and everyone else just saw. Now you going into a destructive place.
I think that truth is subjective. Each person has their own truth that is able to be debated by another person. period.
No,
You know what I'm saying?
no.
Like,
All
that's
right.
just what it is when it comes to certain facts and opinions and perspectives, because that's what we're dealing with. We're not dealing with an autopsy report, an undebatable thing. We are literally talking about that. That's not what we're dealing with here. We're dealing with a documentary that's based in a conspiracy,
We're not talking about the documentary.
rhetoric.
The hell with the documentary.
That's
We're talking
literally
about
what
what
he's
actually happened.
referring
He's talking
to.
about he's seen a
That's
documentary
literally
Candace
what
Owens
he's
puts out.
referring to. That's literally what he's referring to. That's literally the conversation.
I saw the quote.
Conversation.
I saw the quote.
Listen,
but did you see the end of that quote?
Listen, I saw the interview. I didn't see a quote. I listened to him speaking. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I watched the entire thing. So that's what
He
I'm saying.
said-
Like, I didn't read a quote. I didn't read
No,
a
but
quote. I was
he
there
said-
watching the conversation. You know what I'm saying? So I know the fuller context of the conversation.
The
Alrighty?
guy's
So we're not
knee
talking about a
wasn't
quote.
even on his neck like that. That's what Kanye
That was
said.
a quote. That was a quote of a larger conversation. And if you weren't aware of the larger conversation, I'm trying to let you know the larger
that's offensive.
conversation here.
All right, let me do this. Just for the sake of time, because I got my next guest. She's been waiting. We're going to take a quick pause. We're going to regroup. We got to regroup. And I'm going to bring my sister. We got to regroup. I'm going to have my sister, who's been doing the work of liberation and struggle for Black folks for many years in the city of Baltimore and across the country. She's going to talk to us about Million Man March 27 years later. This is why I wanted to at least have these two conversations kind of like buttress one another, because as much as we talk about the Kanyes and all of these things, we got to talk about the fact that, look at where we are. I got my sister, Eartha Harris. She's the co-chair of the local organizing committee for the Baltimore local organizing committee for the Million Man March. She's going to join us in a few minutes. Stay with us. You don't want to miss this conversation between me, Eartha, and B-Fly. Stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol, we've seen shots.
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate Black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear. When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Your money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
When we invest in ourselves, we're investing in what's next for all of us. Growing, creating, making moves. that move us all forward. Together, we are Black beyond measure.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
When we invest in ourselves, we all shine. Together, we are Black beyond measure.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
When we invest in ourselves, our glow, our vision, our vibe, we all shine. Together, we are Black beyond measure.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is roland@rolandsmartin.com.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture. For the final segment, we wanted to switch gears and end the show out on a high note. I mean, so many things have been happening. I'm so grateful to have a sister on that's going to be joining us in a moment to talk about what we've been seeing. And more importantly, you know, where we are with our growth, our development, when we're talking about the struggle of Black men and Black women in this country, as it relates to the great demonstration that took place on October 16th, 1995. Now, I was 16 years old when I traveled to Washington, D.C. with my father and my brother, and we stood out there on the mall in Washington where we were able to get to the front and ended up in the middle somewhere because of the number of Black men. Sheer joy, sheer love, just absolute. I've never experienced anything like that, especially at a 16-year-old. Never experienced it. And I remember when I talked about going to the Million Man March, I kind of served two purposes. One is I was trying to organize other Black men, other Black boys from my school. And I went to an art school in Baltimore. I was trying to organize other Black boys to go. They looked at me like I was crazy. One of my homeboys at the time said, "Man, you're going to go out there and get killed." And I said, "Well, you got to stand for something." We got to stand for something, right? But we organized, and I tried to happen. Didn't happen. But when I came back to school the next day, they were all just very, very proud, and they saw it on all the news stations and C-SPAN. So I was organizing in that space, but then I also helped out with the local organizing committee in the city of Baltimore to help to get young people in the city to get on a bus and to make the move down to the Washington to the Million Man March. Because the call coming from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan for us to atone, the call come us to reconcile our differences and to atone for our sins, reconcile our differences, and to take responsibility for ourselves and our community and take personal responsibility first, resonated. And it still resonates with me. And it's important that as much as we have these discussions, whether it's about Kanye, the state of affairs in this country, and all of those things, we can't forget, folks, that there have been efforts and there have been a number of demonstrations and movements that have came before this time that we may not always tap into to look for guidance as to how we can use them for the next step, even in this day and time. The Million Man March was a demonstration, not only just happened in 1995, I helped to organize in 2015, the Great March, the Millions More movement. Justice or Else. That was in 2015. I was the co-chair of the local organizing committee for Justice or Else on October 15th, 2015. 10/10/2015. And so the point is that if we have these demonstrations, and when we're at these crossroads in our moments, those demonstrations can serve as a light on how we can move forward. So I wanted to bring my sister on, who I have great love and respect for. She literally has watched me grow up in this process. And this sister is doing fantastic work, because yesterday in Baltimore, as a part of their 27-year anniversary, she asked men to come on out to the park to reflect, to have a day to talk about what the day has done for them, and more importantly, how we can use that day to power us forward. So I want to bring Sister Eartha Harris, who is an entrepreneur. She's been very patient with us today. And Sister Eartha, I thank you again for your time. I know my time frame today was thrown off.
That's okay. It wasn't thrown off. You know what I love about your time frame? You know how people say you don't have to get ready if you're ready. So one of the things that I want to say right away is this is what came out of the Million Man March. You know why I don't worry about Kanye West? Because we have you. See, you ready for whatever. And that's what the Million Man March represents to me, is that once we make people understand there was 1 million+ people that came to the march, and there was 1 million+ people that came out of March. The reason why I reflect is I want people to understand when we're afraid in whatever he's doing, because I'm sad to say I don't really watch him, but what I love about what you just did is what we need. We need someone that's ready for that. Because she said, somebody's going to pollute the water, but then we know somebody knows how to purify the water. And what happens in our culture, we get afraid, because when we think that we got something that's more powerful than us and we don't know what to do, is because we don't create the things that you and Roland is creating, the resources that we need to combat our enemy. First, it has to be the proper information. So like you said, we're not going to be on our radio shows and our TV shows talking about, oh, it was just something lightly on this neck. We're not going to be on our radio shows and television shows talking about that. That's all we have in our culture is people that's mentally ill and ignorant and stuff like that. We're going to be on our shows to understand that when people are looking for solutions and opportunity, they need to support what you guys are doing. Because really, at the end of the day, two things is keep holding us back, and that's the fear and the lack of knowledge. But the reason why I love you, Faraji, you telling that story about 16, but remember, that's how you got to being about the culture. The culture was a lot of our young people were so lost and they didn't even know how to do what they was doing. But also you as a young man, you came out, you got to know the Charlie Duggars, the Bill Goodens, the Jabaris. So, because we was all living in different types of a culture trying to save our community. We all had different philosophies of how we wanted to save our community. So when I see you having the opportunity to be able to balance all of that out for us. So we don't have to be afraid, because as you develop and you're developing yourself into the resource that we need, that when they come after us, we're going to show them a Faraji Muhammad. You see what I'm saying? Because
Right,
we've
right.
never seen that in our culture where we have strong Black men who have been developed to be ready. See, they want people to get ready because a lot of times we all want to think that we know what we're talking about, or we're so intelligent that we can come up against people and say what we got to say. But basically, we're struggling. We need to take care of our families. We need to take care of ourselves. We need to hold on to our properties that we done bought, our cars or whatever. So when we're up against something, sometimes we're not getting the things that we want. You said it before when y'all did Justice or Else. Sometimes you have to let the young people who are developing themselves to get to that point. And that's what I loved about Justice for Else, because like you said, not only was you the coach here, but you brought all of the other people with you that was your age and around your concerns, and they're powerful.
Yeah, I mean, let me tell you, Sister, first and foremost, I appreciate that because, as a student and I would say a student of the movement, as a student of the struggle, it in the words of DJ Khaled, it breaks my heart when we don't, when we get into this place, and this is part of I think this is part of the culture, that we feel like we always need some major demonstration to jumpstart our spirit, right? Because we're always like, oh my gosh, man, like where's the next? And when we haven't really fully nursed on what has already happened 27 years ago,
remember the
that's
10th
not a
year,
long time.
No, but Roger, remember the 10th year anniversary, which was called the Millions More Movement. Minister Farrakhan said, go do more what you're already doing. You're already doing it. We don't have to create the Million Man March no more. Stop thinking it's going to be another Million Man March. What you need to do is do more of what we was already doing, because all of those people that was working hard and all of us that had all of this stuff that we was trying to achieve, the minister even seen that. I think that's why he had this great picture of all of these Black men coming together, because he already know the hearts and minds of his people. So when we did 10 years anniversary, we didn't come back out and say, guys, we getting ready to do a Million Man March again. He said, no, do more what you want to do. And I loved it that even, like you said, all of the marches after the Million Man March, we had the Millions Women March, we had the Million Youth March, we had Millions for Reparation, we had the Million Family March. All of those things were blessings, because we understood that out of those things kept showcasing all of these great people, all of these great things that was going on with us. And when I even look at Roland Martin and the things that you're doing, and even when you was at Morgan, those things developing. People don't even remember that we got a Black president after 1995. Okay, so a lot of stuff
Barack Obama was at the Million Man March.
You see what I'm saying? Kurt Smoke was at the Million Man March. You had all these great people at the Million Man. And guess what? Even in this town, we had J. Wendell Gordon. He's a popular lawyer here in Baltimore. He even said, even though he wasn't at the Million Man March, he has come to our commemoration for the last 3 years. Now you got men that's coming and commemorate a march that they didn't intend. Why? Because they think that the spirit of that Million Man March made them feel like they did attend, because they was experienced. You, when you came back, you told the story, your father told the story. We all are telling the story. So people are like, wait a minute, I'm feeling it. And one of the ways that we feel it, and I think Baltimore is so strong, is because we were so close to it. All the people that you know, Faraji, when you walk the streets and you go out and people meet and greet you, you know great people, because we all flourish from that spirit. And we're still doing great things in Baltimore. We may not get the media attention, and like you said, everybody may not be on the major things, but following Roland Martin's show and the things that he's been laying out, still you see all of the people that benefited from that Million Man March starting to get their recognition, starting to get their message out, starting to be able to apply those solutions and opportunities. So we are not the people who's getting ready. We are people that's ready. So like I said, I haven't been following the story, but I like the way you were handling the conversation, because to me, you handled the conversation like, not only will I talk to you, the lady named Miss B, But let me get in front of Cornell West, because that's where I really, when you get there, that's what I know that we have in place for ourselves, because we need some people to be ready to combat stuff like that. And like
it's important. It's important. Sister Eartha, you've been, I mean, you know, you personally have been doing this work for many, many years, since I was young, you know, in my teenage years. So you've been doing the work, empowering people, always encouraging. I know you've been a huge encouragement for me to constantly keep going. Even when we made the transition to LA, we had that conversation. You walked and you said, Faraji, you got to work. You got to go where the God tells you to go, and you got to do what you need to do. And I, for full transparency, Sister Eartha, she gave me her blessings. Everybody, she gave me her blessings.
And not only that, why I gave you my blessing, because like you said, let's talk about your partner. I love her. I love everything your wife doing. I think she is the product, because when we looked at the Million Man March and everybody thought that was just about the men, nobody can tell their story unless they tell stories of women. And when I see your wife, I see us also having the opportunity to see someone like her be prepared, because we as women, we struggle too. We got a whole lot of craziness going on and whatever. And she has been able to put that in perspective, to show people the good, bad, and the ugly. And then with the beautiful children that y'all have, you guys paint the real life picture. And that's one of the things, Faraji, that we have not been presented in our community, is real people that say, look, this is what real life is about. This is how you really get through trials and tribulations. Don't keep always looking at the fairy tale and the phoniness and all of that sort of stuff. Get connected with solutions and opportunities. So as you develop, and like you said, your beautiful children develop, we the ones that will pull into our culture. We will be the ones that can control what this is going to turn out and look to be. I love the fact that you're connected to so many people are artists. So many of our young people, they want to be in that field. You have helped so many people be able to present that in a way that is not all of this negative stuff. You see what I'm saying? So that is part of your culture, and you've been doing a good job with that, I think.
Well, I appreciate that. And I know that the big question has often been asked, Sister Eartha, has been, and Reggie, you checked in from Facebook, you asked this question, and folks always ask this question, but I'm going to attempt to answer it. Then I'm going to have Sister Eartha answer it when you pose this question. What came out of the Million Man March? Well, let me just share with you. One, when we look at any march or any demonstration from history, how many of us truly asked that of the March on Washington? Do we say, oh, that March on Washington wasn't significant? Or do we say that March on Washington was an organizing, galvanizing moment to bring a certain vision across? No, we look at it as an opportunity for us to talk about the vision. When we bring up, and I'm not saying, Reggie, that this may be your spirit, but I'm saying when you ask, well, what came out of the Million Man March? If you go to look, and you can Google it, just look at the stories of Black men, in terms of Black men who when I was 16, where they are now. That's first. Look at the number of Black men and Black families that adopted children. Look at the number of Black men and Black women that were empowered to run for office. We just talked about that. Look at the number of Black men and women who decided to change their life from a life of crime and violence to becoming peacemakers. When you look at the culture and the talk back in 1995, what were some of the biggest movies that were in theaters during that time? You had Boys in the Hood, you had Menace to Society, we had gangster rap. Mediums, entertainment that showed that Black men were a number one threat, public enemy number one. But I heard the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan say, really, we're public enemy number two. But it created a view of Black men where we were the most dangerous. If you saw the conversation, if you saw what President Clinton, he left town. You saw what Newt Gingrich said about us. This was around the same time, a little bit around the same time when Hillary Clinton chastised the exonerated 5 in the Central Park rape and rape. I mean, when you start going down the line, Sister Eartha, and I'm glad people bring up the question, but it's like, we got to remember and see, if we, going back to my original point, if we nurse on what's already been done, then we can start to see, okay, how can we use this for the future? Here's the other thing. If there is the document that is online from the Million Man March, from the Million Family March, a political document that was put together. The document talked about the ills and the issues facing Black America at that time. Now, the document does not have all of the answers, but it was a starting point for a conversation about politics, economics, healthcare, and so many other issues. This stuff comes out of the Million Man March. But the march was not a political movement. It was a spiritual calling. And I think, Sister Eartha, that a lot of folks tend to overlook that part. The minister did not call us. And let me say that 80 to 90% of those Black men who showed up were actually Christian. The minister did not call us to go to the mall so we can vote. He didn't call us to the mall about a policy. He didn't call us to the mall to start a political party. He called us because he saw that the inward Black man was in need of something bigger, better, and something more stronger, which was atonement, reconciliation, and responsibility, and for us to be redeemed in the eyesight of our Creator. And then we can become redeemed by our families and our communities that we came from. So it was a spiritual calling. I never, and it's something, Sister Eartha, when you talk about, when people say, well, what came out, and it's like, you have an enlightened consciousness.
No, I'm going to make it simple for you, because I do this every day with my eyes closed. Didn't we just tell them that you came out of the Million Man March? See, what people do, Faraji, they want to be complicated. So the first thing when I do is when somebody asks me that, I ask that gentleman, hey, did you go to the march? So if they answer yes, I tell them, then you're the one that came out. That's what came out of the march. Right. So then you have to be the one that's willing to say, let me tell my story, and because unless you feel like you ain't no good and you ain't did nothing or whatever, then tell that. Don't put everybody in with you, because one of the things that I told you, and I really want you to understand where I'm coming from, and it is not to blow your head up. You must make people understand you can't tell everybody's story. When they want to know what come out in the march, let them keep holding that conversation with you, because you were 16 years old. So if nobody doesn't understand, and plus you were part of, like I just told you, the grassroots community, you played a big part of that. You was on the organizing committee. And then the other strong part was the nation. You know all about that. So if anybody wants to feel like, what is it and how do we mold this, they need to get it from a person that was 16 that has this 27 years of experience to put everything in perspective. So you're the one that came out of the Million Man March. Now, the problem, what we say that, Faraji, and again, I do this with my eyes closed. A lot of people say stuff because they don't want to do nothing. You just named several things that we're supposed to go back to our community to do. So regardless whether we want to figure out what came out of the march, let's figure out this. What part do you want to do? Do you want to go adopt a child? Do you want to go open up a business? Do you want to go back in the school system? Because there were so many great things that people were already doing. We enhanced that. You got a gentleman here in Baltimore named Edwin Advent. He is president of the Collegiate School for Boys, Black-owned boys school. So won't you go up there and help that brother out, teach our young boys to do what we need them to do for our community. You have people like Renee Irvin. She has a Queen organization. You have schools all over this country that people are putting together. So what happens, Faraji? The mentality of our people that want to try to make something that historically happened. That's why we're going to tell a story, because you can't take away, like you said, the truth. They're trying to make us water it down by explaining silly questions like what came out of the march, this, that, and the other. No, we are in 2022. So what I love about it is that the majority of people who went to that march are ready. That's how you even got the results that you're seeing. That's how Floyd even got some justice. Because remember, you just told them you was on the organizing for justice or else. So
Right.
he got his results because we was at a mindset, oh, we getting justice. You're not going to go away with this one with somebody that we know that should deserve justice, because that's what
Absolutely.
we're about. So when you are doing this, just say you're ready, Faraji. You are ready, because this is where we were spiritually wanting ourselves and our people to go, is to pour into the things like you're doing and Roland Martin's doing and so many of you guys are doing, to stop being afraid, to stop holding these silly conversations when we have work to do. Go back, join up, like Minister Ferg, join an organization, join something, then you wouldn't be having this conversation about what came out of the march. Come on now. We have plenty of more marches that's getting ready to come up. We got plenty of people that's organizing and mobilizing themselves. So you're going to have many, many more things that we're going to see that galvanize people, but you cannot take that particular event and think it's just that one fix all. It is an opportunity for us to learn. And I love the fact that, like you said, we have 1 million+ stories that nobody hasn't heard yet, that we need to start saying, not just inviting me, but like you said, you know, a lot of people that's doing great things. We'll start showing you. Right. And let me tell you about the commemoration. Now, I love the commemoration like this, Faraji. We are so busy. See, people forget this about the Baltimore piece. We are so busy that we came up with an idea. Hey, Faraji, don't care what we do in the world or whatever, on October the 16th, meet me over here. I'll be over here, standing over here under this tree in Drew Hill Park, rain, hail, or shine, October the 16th. Because we need to create our own rituals. So that's a ritual that we create in Baltimore City, because we know that there's so many brothers and sisters that are going back doing the work that we don't see or meet up with each other. But because we still have the spirit and understand the mission, we also use that as an opportunity on October the 16th. Don't care what day it falls on. Next year it's going to fall on a Monday. I told people, okay, I'm telling you right now, show up on a Monday. Somebody say, well, that's a work day. I say, ain't nobody working 6 o'clock in the morning, Faraji. So we have to discipline ourselves to stop making excuses, because they don't want to get up, Faraji. So they'll be like, Sister Eartha, why you doing 6 in the morning? I don't know. I ain't never seen the sunrise prayer done at 12 noon or 2 o'clock. So we're going to do a sunrise. Faraji, you know what I'm saying? We gotta get up. I know you got 2 children, you got this, you gotta get up. So that's what I love about saying we create our own rituals, but that is a good idea, whether people continually support us or not, to say that we have a ritual that rain, hail, or shine, because we wanted to be grateful and appreciation of our work and the fact that it happened, that every October the 16th, rain, hail, or shine, we're going to be at Drew Hill Park. Then you'll have somewhere that you don't have to do Facebook. You don't have to call nobody. We're not emailing people, none of that. People are like, I'm going to go over there. Y'all come back to town. Let's go over there and see a Sister Earth and I'm still under that tree. So I love it. I love it. You're doing good.
Hey, look, let me sit to Sister Eartha, and I appreciate you so much. And, you know, as a Black woman who's been encouraging Black men, and I know that there was a lot of talk about the women and all of that stuff, but, you know, your work is a testament that that you can see, it's none of that madness that people was trying to create was happening. Behind the scenes, Black women were present. Black women were organized. Black women are still organized. Black women still hold on to the hope that Black men comes out of this crazy ass space that we're in, right? And we get ourselves together. There are so many sisters that watch this show, Sister Eartha, who I see who I hear from every day that want to see that.
Yeah, but tell this history. There were so many women who got their men to go to the march. There was this woman just called me.
Sister Eartha, let's not look past. There were so many women who benefited from a man who came from the march.
Thank you. That, you know what Doug Chase said? Your great friend Doug Chase said he and his buddies and them, they all married. most of the men that they deal with, they married, they got families, they trying to do right by the spirit of that. So that's why I tell you got to hear those strong brother stories. Here you got a person in town, Derek Chase. He does a lot of great things. He's married. He created an organization called the International League of Families. It's the 7 families. They meet every Sunday because you got to stay with your tribe in order to be strong. Because you hang around the wrong people, you can be going another direction. So they created their own rituals where they stay together, married couples, deal with issues, deal with their children, because they want to have that representation that we can create that greatness among ourselves. We have strong, great families, and those strong, great families need resources. So we stay together so we can make sure that we provide that. I'm actually part of it, and I'm not even married. So you can be a part of a tribal and find purpose and need. So they need elders. I'm 63. They need babysitters. They need advice counselors. So what we're doing is, again, trying to set the example. We break bread together, Faraji, because like you said, when you so busy, everybody's so busy, sometimes it's just hard to just stop what you're doing and just sit down and enjoy your family, your friends, and all that. So we try to be on that page too, where, yeah, we can fight and all this sort of stuff. But then life is about enjoyment. Life is about really seeing the people that you have met and being able to enjoy your life. And the children, they grow up so fast. I'm glad we got social media. That's the only way I see y'all babies. Look, Faraji, the only way I see y'all babies through social media. I got to watch them grow up through that. But it's great
too fast. All right, let me just take a couple of comments as we wrap up the show.
Okay.
And B, I want to bring B Fly into the conversation. B, I know you've been listening. I've been wanting to have this conversation with my sister, Eartha Harris. But Mike V, you said, I bet that day, Nisa said, I bet that day was beautiful. I watched it on TV. Our people have the potential to release immense power. Absolutely. That's why I'm so hopeful, folks, because I've seen a glimpse of heaven. I know we got the power. So anytime somebody tells me, man, we can't do this, we can't do that, you're damn wrong. Because I've seen it. If you can get nearly 2 million, and some numbers say more than 2 million, but if you can get 2 million black men on the mall in a space of peace to talk about spiritual and economic, to talk spiritual rejuvenation and restoration of the mind, body, and the spirit. If you're talking about that, we can do anything. That's why I don't give up. That's why I don't give up. Because I was there. I know what is possible. I know the power we got. And so we can't act like, oh my gosh, this has never been done before. Black people can't change their condition. We shut America down on that day. America. There was no crime in DC. We shut America down that day.
But
and I want to make sure, if y'all haven't seen it, you go to the films, go on YouTube, listen to the stories, and brothers, if you were there, you know what I'm talking about.
Also, I want to make this point because she was talking about things outside of our minds or human, but there was a God present that day. So if you never believed in a high power,
Sister Eartha, let me tell you something. I just want to say this very quickly. No, I'm in full agreement. Let me tell you, I was up there like the AB. I was up in that piece, like, you know what I'm saying? Shoulder to shoulder. Ain't nobody fighting.
No.
Ain't nobody. We had white people there. There were white people on the mall. Couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe their eyes. And guess what? They still right there. Listen to Jesse Jackson.
Yes.
Minister Louis Farrakhan. Yes. Brother Allende. All the black men that wanted to say something and speak to us, standing right there. Look, man, don't tell me what's not possible, because I've seen the impossible possible. I've been there. I've seen this with my own 2 eyes. So there is a serious situation here. Mike V, you said 1 million black men didn't destroy the nation's capital over their grievance with the state of things at hand. Facts.
Correct.
And every time we came back to DC, whether it's the Millions More movement, whether it's the Million Youth, whatever the justice or else, nobody destroyed the state capitol.
Correct.
Because why? God was present. That's what it is, y'all.
And that's why we say
believe in God. If you didn't believe in God now, you should believe in 27 years ago.
And we always say, long live the spirit of the Million Man March.
Long live
That's
the
where we
spirit,
can
man.
put it in. If you want to put things in perspective, because like you said, everybody's an individual person, but talk about the spirit, because the spirit is so powerful that, like you said, you put it in its right perspective, you can accomplish everything. And the reason why we don't want to believe it, because just like people believe in God, they don't want to believe in the devil. So whoever's trying to destroy this story, whoever's trying to make sure that nobody knows that, and this has happened 27 years ago. I told Faraji this. I walked to people that was 27, 30. They said they never even heard of Million Man March. And that's because we have to control the media. We have to write the books now. We have to tell you got to tell your son the story now, because if something happens to you, we shouldn't be telling the story about what you experienced. We have to tell our children now who we are. When you guys see me, you have to say, oh, I already know, because she told us herself that she was an organizer of the Million Man March. You don't have to go try to find out who organized the Million Man March. We wrote our own stories. We're telling the people who we are. So that's where this media opportunity comes in. And that's why, again, I praise you and Roland Martin for you guys creating a platform, because this is the way we become strong. Regardless what the enemy say, we have the tools and the resources now to empower ourselves for people who really want to know about solutions and opportunity, because that's the state that we are. Regardless whether we want to talk about Kanye West or whatever, what really people are looking at is what is the solution and opportunity to our condition. And we're going to present them with the people that can provide that every day. So when we do hold these crazy conversations, we're not holding them in a state of weakness. We're not broken poor, hollering, screaming about him. We're not building institutions, hollering, screaming about him, because a lot of things that we need to do to work in has nothing to do with people's opinion. So we got to get back focused and do the work that we need to do so we can have opinions while we're getting wealthy and building institutions.
There it is. Sister Eartha Harris, co-chair of the Baltimore Local Organizing Committee for the Million Man March, continuing to keep the march alive in Baltimore and across the in other parts of the country. Sister Eartha, thank you for being so good.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Absolutely. B. B. Let's bring B. Let's be great. B. I just B. What a day.
This is great. I
you gotta have it.
I remember so many things. Like the Million Man March totally calibrated my adult life. We sponsored my prom date to go to DC. I'm a Cali girl. Okay, my prom date went to DC. This was very important, and came back rooted in who he was, and then fast forward, and that was 95. All right, so then fast forward to the Millions More movement. Like, I remember the minister doing a benediction, and he asked for every woman to put their own hand on their womb, and he was going to bless their child. And I looked at my app and realized that I was pregnant on that day, on that grass, with Chariz and his family. Like, I came home from the Million Man March with Jazz, knowing, like, stopped at a CVS, peed on a stick, boom. So it was so understand, like, the effect of the Million Man March is exponential. Even to the person who can even ask that question has the privilege of asking that question as a result of it even happening. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like this was not a plea for votes. So this was not like civil rights marches. This was not what that is. This was a spiritual awakening.
That's what it was.
And that was real, and it shaped our culture, And
absolutely.
Honestly, it taught me how to still hold on to the Kanye West, the Black man who I do not agree with within the patriarchal system, who is a victim of it as well. And I still respect that, man, as a result of the millions of men who showed up in Christian form. Understand that, like we're able to be there and worship different and think different and still be on one accord.
It is.
Time,
It is.
and so it's like that's
B,
who we are.
Hey, B, that's a powerful story, and you never share that with me. So that is a powerful testament. And your son is absolutely beautiful. Jazz is absolutely beautiful. I love Jazz, man. I absolutely love your husband. Big shout out to my guy Riz, but I love your family, man. You got a beautiful family, and so I truly appreciate you. You know what I mean? We could disagree on things, but at the end of the day, sis, we gonna work this thing out, and you know it, and I know it, and we can never forget. We can never forget those moments in our lives that we've been blessed to see a better future, because that's what we hold on to. Dr. King said that I've seen the mountaintop. I know I've been to that mountaintop when I came to the Million Man March 27 years ago, and I came in 2005, and I went again in 2015, and I went with I've seen it. So you can't talk me out of Black liberation. You can't talk me out of the fact that there can't be no Black future. You can't talk in an American space. There can be. We just got to make sure that it is. All right, B, I got to go. We've been well over time, but I appreciate you for being on the show today. Thank you, sis. It's good to reconnect with you.
Love you much. Thank you. Shout out to everyone.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
See you next week.
Be fly, check it in, as always. Thank you so much, B.
Peace, bro.
Good to hear from you. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us. I thank y'all for spending a little extra few minutes with us today. Had to get some of these conversations out, but y'all know how the spirit go. Y'all know how the spirit go, but I am eternally grateful for your patience to stay tuned in today. So thank you. Big shout out to my online culture crew. What a day. Just a little something to get your Monday started. So big shout out to all of you that tuned in, that participated in the conversation. And let's continue to promote the discussion. Make sure y'all do go to Black Star Network, download the app. Make sure you tell your friends and family about it. These are the discussions that we need to happen. And that's why you got a space like Black Star Network that's designed for these conversations. You may like it, may not agree with it, but guess what? They need to happen because it's all good for the culture and for the betterment of our people. So big shout out to all of you for your continued support of us here at Black Star Network. Make sure you follow me on my social media platform. You can find me at The Real Faraji on Instagram, Faraji on Twitter, and Faraji Muhammad on Facebook. I love to connect with you, love continue to build with you, and let's continue to have these discussions. Stay tuned. Up next is Roland Martin Unfiltered, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. RMU is coming at you. But as always, never be afraid to challenge what's wrong. Stand for what's right while being yourself in the process. God willing, we'll talk tomorrow for another exciting edition of The Culture right here, exclusively here, only here on the Black Star Network. Peace.